Okay, dan míle cora rudaí. Óránaí mór le rá a going Danny Mikey O'Sullivan agus thuireadh sé órán Instagram gur arúnach amachchas amach an órán sa nuair tuisin sibh agus chanig í libh is tócha.
Of ran from Paddy McParish, Sonny Gallum, the Higgins and Danny. Paddy McParish. Oh, shed the Valle, oh, shed the Valle, oh, shed the Valle, and it's share Hafton Tory. Shed the Van Berlin, where the bear graph to having. Arno ik braai live merlach is te deel de lesna gauliv. Oro shed valle, oro shed valle, oro shed valle, and isher haften tauri. Tagrang vel itjel har sale, ogligar mølle morgarda, veljet fenes nigila spangig, agus keirig roger galiv. Oro skedva valle, oro skedva valle, oro skedva valle, and isher haften taurig. A wheel arena vatka vicum on a member on the Jägerschaften. Rang well agus mile graskir, a fogert father galiv. Oro skedva valle, oro skedva valle, oro skedva valle, and isher haften tauri.
According on Kaint Dora Hawking, our guest speaker on this occasion is a representative of the newly formed Cork Fenian Society. So Tomás McCormack will address us. Cardigale, we're here today to honour the great men of the Mallow Battalion of the Irish Republican Army who captured the military barracks in this town on the 28th of September 1920. It was an incredible achievement. It showed the daringness of volunteers, their attention to details in planning and executing an operation, and it showed that the volunteers aimed to liberate every part of Ireland from the smallest village to the largest town. The attack on Mallow Barracks is one of the great achievements in Irish history. Not only was it the only military barracks captured during the War of Independence, but it was also the only military barracks captured in Ireland in the past few hundred years. And that alone had a tremendous psychological impact on those who wish to dismiss the growth of Irish independence as something that would merely pass. Mallow has been a garrison town for several hundred years, but that never dampened the spirit of Irish nationalism within Mallow or the surrounding locality. In 1798, Mallow district was home to several thousand United Irishmen. Drumahan can boast that it provided Ireland with the great patriot Thomas Russell. The White Boys attacked and overran an English police station in Churchtown just outside Buttervent in 1822, while the Fenians burnt the RIC station at Ballynockan in 1867. And of course, Mallow itself is the home of the great Irish patriot Thomas Davis of the Young Ireland movement. In the build-up to the attack on Mallow Barracks, the IRA had been engaged in attacking and burning dozens of RIC stations throughout the county of Cork. Over 400 RIC stations had been burnt in April 1920 throughout Ireland. By September 1920, there was nearly 10,000 British troops stationed throughout Cork, with significant military barracks in Cork, Fermoy, Macroom, Ballincollig and Buttervent, with a British machine gun corps stationed in Clonturk. The IRA had recently suffered the loss of the Vice Commandant of the 2nd Cork Brigade, Patrick J. Clancy, along with the death of volunteer John O'Connell in Clonturk. So when the proposed proposal to attack Mallow Barracks was mentioned, the staff of the brigade jumped at the opportunity. The idea came from two members of the Mallow Battalion, Dick Willis, a painter, and Jack Bolster, a carpenter, who were employed on the civilian maintenance staff of the barracks. Both volunteers had been for weeks observing the daily routine of the garrison and had noticed that the barracks was significantly reduced in numbers when the garrison went on mobilisation orders and patrols. A map of the barracks was drawn up. An attack was planned by Liam Lynch, Ernie O'Malley, Dick Willis and Tyke Burns. As part of the intelligence gathered by the Willis and Bolster, they found that each morning the officer in charge of the barracks took 2/3 of the men on exercise outside the town, and this had presented the flying column with an opportune moment to attack the barracks. In drawing up plans, they studied the entire layout of the town, the narrow streets, walls that could be used for cover, and the potential escape routes and the likelihood of meeting British armed forces. The various details were carefully studied by Lynch and O'Malley, while Willis and Bolster were allotted tasks within the wall of the barracks. Tyke Burns and Jack Cunningham were chosen to attack with the main body of the flying column, which included Commandant Dennis Murphy of the Canturk Battalion. The flying column were stationed at Burnford, and on the 27th of September the men were ordered to prepare for the attack, and under the cover of darkness they moved into Mallow town and took up positions ready for the attack. The column consisted of 18 members, while a number of members of the Mallow Battalion were asked to participate. In addition to attacking the military barracks, the column were placed in positions to ward off any potential reinforcements of RSC members whose barracks was situated near the main street of Mallow town. On the morning of the attack, Willis and Bolster entered the barracks as normal, accompanied by Paddy McCarthy of Newmarket, who is posing as a contractor overseer. After a short period, the main body of the garrison left for exercise, which left 15 soldiers under the command of one sergeant. Once the military had been observed leaving the town, the flying column under the command of Liam Lynch, Paddy O'Brien and George Power advanced towards the barracks. Ernie O'Malley presented himself and had managed to set his foot in between the frame of the door and immediately overpowered the sentry on duty. Willis, Bolster and McCarthy, who had been observing the gate and observing O'Malley forcing his way in, immediately pulled out their revolvers and went to the guard room where the rifles were kept. On hearing the commotion and realising that the barracks was about to be attacked, the sergeant on duty, Gibbs, rushed towards the guard room to secure the weapons, and after refusing calls to stop and ignoring the first warning shot, he was then shot and wounded by the volunteers. By this time, the majority of the attacking party had gained entry into the barracks, and the remainder of the garrison was rounded up. 3 motor cars pulled up to the gate of the barracks, and 27 rifles, 2 Hotchkiss light machine guns, numerous boxes of ammunition, along with numerous pistols, revolvers and bayonets were loaded and taken away. The prisoners were all locked into the stables, with the exception of one soldier who was nursing the wounds of Sergeant Gibbs. The entire operation took less than 20 minutes, and the column withdrew safely towards our headquarters at Burnford without incident. Later that night, the column moved to Lombardstown to protect the creamery. As a reprisal, the British burnt a number of buildings in Mallow and arrested a number of locals. The attack showed that the IRA was growing in capacity, as it was one of the first attacks carried out by the flying columns in Cork. It signalled a new change in strategy, which resulted in the British having to re-examine how barracks would be defended and how troops would be mobilised safely, as the IRA weaponry was becoming more lethal. Today we remember those who took part in the attack, especially Paddy McCarthy, who later died in Mill Street, and Liam Lynch, who died up in Tipperary. And it's a great honour to be able to speak here today and remember the sacrifices the Patriots made throughout the whole country for the independence that we have here in the 26 counties, and hopefully in time that unity will be joined throughout the whole 32 counties. Very much.